My first show ever it was me, my bass player, my drummer, my guitar player, the sound guy, who also doubled as the door guy, 2 bartenders, and 1 guy at the bar that was playing the, the games where you have to like match the 2 photos and you got to find the differences.
Right, sure, yeah.
He played that for an hour and a half, never even looked at us.
Right.
And it was the best thing that could have happened because it was basically just a paid rehersal.
Yeah. You're like, we're onto something.
Yeah, I was like, and this couldn't have gone better.
Right.
Like,
if he's not looking up, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
There.
And we played those 2 shows. I did that for 2 weeks. I went and played Monday and Tuesday night. And then I went back to my hometown and opened for Eli Young Band, where I knew I would have Fringe show up. Exactly what you were just saying. Like, so at least they'll be there to see me play. But that was my first showcase for a label.
Do you find that you need to move to Nashville because that's just where it's all happening? Like, was LA consideration, New York, or was just, I got to be in Nashville?
Yeah, not for me. I was always, it was Nashville. That was the only one I really thought of.
Were there any musicians like in Louisiana growing up that you would play with, that you would get together with, or was all just...
So it was actually, my brother was he started when we were in school. I was at LSU. And so he started his junior year just doing like the Baton Rouge bar circuit. So he was playing, the dollar beer nights at like the bars we were hanging out at. And so me and him would like started writing songs in college. And then he was going to Nashville to get the record deal right off the bat. That's what he wanted. And it's funny now how like it's flipped, and now I'm the touring artist and he stays at home and just writes songs. But yeah, Jacob was my brother was the one that really kind of got me off on music.
What were you listening to growing up? What were the first things that you kind of remember really got you into music early on?
It was John Prine. My dad was a massive John Prine fan. And his rotation was Jim Croce, John Prine, Chris Christopherson, and Petty.
Jason Isbell?
Oh, I'm a massive Isbell fan. I like that guy. In my mind, John Prine's the best writer ever. Sure. And John Prine says that Jason Isbell, he was the best. So, that his last record is unreal. Foxes in the Snow. Golly.
Do you remember the first record that you bought?
Yeah, it was Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, okay. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Was it Gish or was it Siamese Dream or what?
No, it was the double record. Was it beginning of the
Melancholy and the Infinite
Sadness.
So did you go through like a rock grunge phase at some point?
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was just like, I had a brother that was 2 years older, so I was trying to be cool by listening to whatever they were listening to. So it was like, and obviously it was still record stores, so we would get on our Dyno GTs and drive up there and buy albums that we weren't supposed to buy. I remember that record, that Smashing Pumpkins album, actually got snapped by my mom because she didn't want me to have it. Which now, like going back and listening to it, I'm like, it wasn't because lyrically terrible. It was. I guess so. Yeah. Or like my mom was very much like, hey, if she didn't know it, it was bad.
Yeah.
And then, Smashing Pumpkins, I'm sure she was probably like, this has to be bad.
Although I guess Johnny Cash's lyrics got a little dark at some point, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
some of those like old countries, like the saddest.
Yeah.
You're talking about dealing with addiction or like, people,
I killed a man in, I don't know that song, whatever that song is.
I killed a man in Reno just to watch him die. That's not a great
Maybe
lyric.
not a song for kids.
But
so there was no scene really growing up musically, in Shreveport when you were growing up.
No, and it's crazy because like Shreveport is such a rich musical history.
Yeah.
James Burton is a Shreveport guy. Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Sure.
It was that kind of, which still I think influenced me a ton, and just being around such amazing musicians, or at least knowing that they were, my hometown was synonymous with them. There was Elvis Presley was the Hayride, Louisiana Hayride was there, so like. There was just a ton of like just rich musical history that kind of shaped it. And too, I always say like, it was like the burnt CD era for me. Like that was whenever I was like really falling in love with music. Yeah. So
remember you used to have to do that. If you liked someone, you'd burn them a CD.
Yeah.
Or make them a tape even before that.
Like
I'm ancient, so I'm going,
but
no, that mixtapes.
That was it. Yeah. Like, and so like we'd get on Bear Share or Napster or whatever, and download songs, and then you'd go to a party, and whoever had the best burnt CD,
Right.
got to play it,
Yeah.
and then you're picking up all these other songs that you're like, wait, who is that? But yeah, it was. I'm glad I had that because it did just kind of widen my love of music and kind of taught me not to view it as like, I think country is what I grew up with, so I always go back to that as the music that helped get me where I'm at, and it is my love of music bases out of that. But man, so many great bands that I've come across that, I'm glad that I just didn't have the blinders on to just love country and not look outside of that.
Yeah, you once said that you sort of tried to run away from music, but it kind of found you. What do you mean by that? Because is it something you knew that you should do, but it wasn't really your calling in life in a way?
Well, I think it was. I almost think I had too much of a look behind the curtain early on.
Sure,
Because
with your brother,
with my brother,
yeah.
with my uncle, and so like when my uncle was doing great and he was having singles out, everything was awesome. And then he had the 3-4 lull years where nothing was happening. And, you could kind of tell that he was struggling. So I think maybe, and too, being raised, like, it's just like, go to college, do the thing that everybody's supposed to do, get the job, have a job when you graduate, do the white picket fence thing, 9 to 5, that, which sounds super safe.
Yeah. What would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
So I went to college for environmental science, and I was probably going to go in oil and gas. So
Not that exciting, I guess, right?
Yeah, like anything. And that's at the time, it was kind of like, all right, what can get me out of here? I started as a physics or a engineering major and couldn't pass physics, so I was like, all right, I don't want to be in college much longer. What can I go to that most of my credits transfer to? And then I just started looking at like, okay, what's the highest paying job with this degree, which was at the time oil and gas. So yeah, I think it was like just to look behind how tough it was to make it in music. It was obviously something I've always been passionate about, but I say that because I got a job with an environmental company in Baton Rouge after I graduated. And I was just kind of living through my brother being in Nashville, and he was, sending me songs he was writing or telling me he bumped into, whatever writer was at a writer's round and got to hang with him. And I'm back in Baton Rouge, like, God, I wish I was doing that, and it finally just won me over, and I was like, all right, I've got to go give this a shot. And I moved in 2012.
So eventually you're bartending, you literally do 2 gigs, and then you get a record deal. But how do you get the deal?
Well, so I'd met
the label that you were referring to before, and was that meeting the meeting that actually led to getting your deal, that initial meeting?
That was the one that basically showed me that they were interested and they want to see a show. And they came to a show, and I think watched me and were like, this guy has no clue what he's doing.
Right.
Because, I look back on that and I'm like, dude, there's no way I knew how to banter in between songs. There's no way I knew how to conversate with the crowd. Whatever was on my set list, I was playing it. I didn't know how to change or, I was just brand new to it. And so that ended with basically me coming back to town, not hearing from him for a while. So I was kind of like, all right, that obviously didn't go well. Luckily, there was another label in town that was interested and wanted to see another one of my shows. So I kind of was like, all right, well, maybe I can get something going with them. And I called MCA and I was like, well, what do I need to fix? And she was like, you seem really, really green. And I was like, well, I'm gonna come clean here, okay? I've never played a show before.
Right.
I am green.
Let's give you a multi-million-dollar record.
Yeah,
right?
And I think it was great because, you hear the horror stories of like, oh, you sign a label deal and they don't do anything with you for 2 years, 3 years.
Or you're in debt for millions of dollars and everything.
And so with that, it was almost probably an easy signing for them because I was like, hey, whatever you put on that paper, I'll sign it. Right. I just don't want to bartend anymore.